What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Today's video we're going to be discussing King of the Baggers. If you have yet to check it out, you can do a quick search of King of the Baggers and it should populate.
These guys coming over turn one. I cannot believe where Hayden Gillum is right here. How fast they are going on these baggers over this turn one.
You know, one of the great things, especially for the road racing community, is there's so many drag specialty dealers around the country, and look at them backing it in on the Vance and Hines Street Glide, having watch parties at their dealership, whether it's an Indian dealership.
O'Hara made a mistake.
Oh,
this is our leader, Tyler O'Hara, off the track, and he's dropped back to what? Third now.
Third.
He picks it back. Now we got a race. Heron's having difficulties on the 50.
does Hayden Gillum on the Vance and Hines Street
man.
Glide.
Well,
It looks like he's smoking.
he's either losing something. Was that smoke? Was that fluid? Something's happening. Look at the bike back in third in this picture.
It was several baggers of major brands. It drew a lot of attention. Even my non-Harley, non-cruiser friends that ride sport bikes were sharing it in our Facebook groups. It was really awesome to see those bikes perform where you normally would never consider them performing. Even when we took our bikes to our first track day, we had several people who were asking, "You're taking that?" Really surprised and confused that how is this gonna play out? And we did fairly well. That a lot of people were coming out like, wow, y'all are really moving it. Was not expecting that. And then now imagine that on a professional level, where a lot of these baggers that these professional riders were riding came from MotoGP, with the exception of a couple. We have Tony Salima from Shred Motoco, and you have Eric Stahl from Jiffy Tune, and then a couple more. But it was really amazing to see these baggers just get over so much, and the fact that so many of these companies had to shave off so much. The baggers range anywhere from 800, unless you're doing a fully dressed bagger, to maybe 900 plus pounds of just pure American Harley weight. And most of them, if not all, got them down from 650 to maybe 700, but most of them were close to the 650 pound mark. That's a lot of weight that's shaved, where you had a lot of carbon fiber parts, and seeing a lot of the rear sets, it was pretty sick. Just the fact that you had the super long shift linkage, that there was a couple things where I was thinking, like, why didn't they just make something like move the shifter or do something that could have been more work than it was worth for just this one event. It was funny because you had Wheelie Pig, he's part of Unknown Industries. He posted a photo later on after the weekend. He said there was a ton of big bikes but only one bagger, which was funny because everyone modded their baggers with rear sets and all kinds of mods, and he showed up with bagger because he still kept the floorboards and a couple other items, which was really interesting, and it was cool to see. They made certain parts to make things fit, kind of like the rear sets, as well as the shade primary from the SNS Cycle Indian Challenger. That was really cool. That caught my eye, and it had my gears ticking. That would be something to check out, but we probably won't be needing that because our rear shock just shipped out today. That's right. We went with a custom length shock from Russ Mortimont Designs. We like clearance because our cruiser is not gonna be just track. We're doing where we mile it out, where we do anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 mile trips, round trip, and we average about 15,000 miles a year. And I'm trying to make a happy medium where if I want to go hit the track, this thing is a ripper. I got the clearance should I need it, and now that we're going so tall, I don't think we'll ever scrape primary. And that's going to be the interesting part, because with lifting up the back so much, it's going to change the ergonomics and the geometry of the bike of how it handles. So that will be interesting whenever we take it into the next track day. For our custom length shock, we had to modify our frame just a wee little bit. Be sure to check out that video for specifics. It's interesting. I had so many people who were like, oh dude, but a lot of y'all were really curious as to how it was gonna turn out and how the shock is gonna look, and I'm really excited to show y'all whenever we get it in. We will be doing a video. Again, that video is gonna be sponsored by Hardcore Cycles, one of the OGs that have been with the channel for the longest time, and they're one of the biggest supporters with us going into this track day, as well as Lindell Brakes, Memphis Shades, Trask Performance, and Curiac, and just to name a few. And with that being said, a quick little plug, and be sure to check out all the links below to the Amazon affiliates as well as to the Patreon. We're doing something neat with that. If you are looking to get into Harley racing, or if you want to do cruisers at the track, check out the Facebook link. I've linked it down below. It's going to be an event happening in March in North Texas, up in the DFW area. It's going to be at the Crescent Motorsport Ranch. We reached out to RideSmart. It's going to be the riding school organization that we did our first track day with, and I asked, what would it take for us to do a cruiser only class? And in the email correspondence that we exchanged, they stated that we needed a number of 20 cruisers minimum in order to recreate a cruiser class only. That the Facebook group shows 28 people interested or going. One of the things that I think is really keeping people on the fence of committing if they are going to go is going to be, we still don't have a firm date, that we're waiting for the RideSmart 2021 event calendar to be released, so that way I can see when the Crescent event is and say, yo, it's actually March 17th, let's go ahead and do that, or whatever date it is, and that way people can adjust their calendars with work, family, etc., and make a commitment if they're gonna be able to make that. But there might just be that one conflict of interest, and that's perfectly fine. But if that is something that interests you, check it out. You can even just search Cruiser Track Day on Facebook and it should pop up. Or if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message on Instagram and I'll be happy to share that information with you and answer any questions that you may have. I think it's gonna be really fun. What am I gonna need if I wanna start pursuing track day? It really depends on the tracks and the riding organizations that are out there that work with those tracks. Go to your local track, ask them, hey, I'm really interested in this. I just saw King of the Baggers, because chances are they saw it too. If it's anything in the circuit or race, motorcycle world, they saw it, they've at least heard of it. Like, oh, that's interesting, because a lot of people saw it. There was about 1.5 million views on one of the Moto America's website of that race. And it's been shared all over Instagram. It's definitely something that people were tuned into because it's different. You have the old rivalry of Indian versus Harley. That was one. And then you also had Harleys on a MotoGP track. You're like, what? That most people think Harleys on drag, sure, that's kind of normal. But in the twist, wait, Harleys can get low like that? And then even then, hearing about it, that Drag Specialties has already started communications with Moto America, and maybe they're not gonna do a series, they're trying to get a couple of events lined up throughout the year, so where they may have 2 to 4, 2 to 6, 2 to 8, but for sure there's gonna be another King of the Baggers next year. Are you looking to get into this but not sure where to start? What are some of the things that you're gonna need? That's a perfect question. One of the things that you could do is go down to your local racetrack. Ask them all the questions that you may have. How do you get started? Is there a riding organization or riding school that can help get you started? That way you get familiar, because with Ride Smart, they have a whole setup of how it goes. That you have a classroom portion for your first time. If it is your first time, you must attend the PowerPoint. It is not death by PowerPoint. That's why I legit thought, I was like, oh, this is gonna be just me sitting here and falling asleep. But it was very engaging. It's for short minutes. It's about 15 to 25 minutes. And then you get ready to go on the track and they tell you this is gonna be a round robin, and they just go over all kinds of stuff. And you do that, hit the track, come back to classroom immediately, have another 15, 25 minutes of class, have a short 30 to hour minute break, and then track again. So forth, lunch, so forth, same schedule. And then that's it for the day. It goes by so quick that you just, I want another one, let's do it. Let's go ahead and talk gear. Now this next portion is really gonna depend on how much you're looking to invest into getting into taking your Harley on the track. We decided just to go all in, which means that we purchased our full suit leathers, we have gauntlet gloves, as well as our riding boots. These are all gonna be perforated, so for winter like we're having, it may not be the most conducive, but we're also gonna be taking a quick test ride at the end of this video as the credits roll through for the perforations. Because during the summer and the warmer months, this gets toasty. You can feel the heat, so when you take it off, your compression top and bottom, they're just kind of, they're kind of nasty. Touching base on the compression, that is gonna make things a whole lot easier. So first and foremost, let's backtrack from the suit. Let's go ahead, and the first thing that you are gonna need is going to be a helmet. You're gonna need a DOT or Snell rated helmet. There's tons of different helmets out there depending on which one your preference is. That's gonna be your first thing that you're gonna need. And then the second is gonna be a set of gauntlet gloves. We're running the Alpine Stars. This is the ones that we like and they came highly recommended. One of the things that was a learning curve was that the pinky and the ring finger are webbed. And I didn't know I did this a lot, but with my left hand when I pull in the clutch, a lot of times my pinky floats and so it comes out. Once I had these gloves, I could feel that my pinky was getting raw from it wanting to move and it was causing some friction. But all it took was just riding with the glove more and more. That these are really nice. And most tracks and organizations are gonna require you to wear a gauntlet glove. Now, why do you wear a gauntlet glove? That's mostly just gonna be for crash protection. So that way, if you do fall on your arms, you have that additional crash protection. So you are gonna need a set of gauntlet gloves. So for sure helmet and for sure gauntlet gloves. That's gonna be through Ride Smart specifications. If you're anywhere else, be sure and check with your riding organization or with the track that you're looking to race at. I know they have Willow Springs and a couple other ones out in California that are the more familiar and popular ones that I'm aware of. So check with them if you are in that area, give them a ring or hit them up on email. Say, hey, I'm looking to take my cruiser out on the track. What are your requirements in order for me to do so? Is there a school, a class, something I need to take prior to being out there, and go from there. And one thing to follow up with that email is ask it to have equipment rentals. With the organization that we went through, they have leather rentals. The cool thing is that if it was your first time, your leather and boot rentals are free, which is really cool. That's kind of where I started looking. And I said, well, if I do so many, because I started looking at the cost of them, I think overall ended up being $150. Additionally, if you rented them the second, third, fourth, fifth time, etc. I said, well, for $400, I can get a full suit. I found the suit on sale. I said, dude, let's go ahead and just bite the bullet. Let's go ahead and get it, break it in. It'll become ours, and we'll just start rocking it. So we went ahead and invested into the suit. And I said, well, If we're getting the suit, we might as well get the boots. This is typical Connor mentality. If you're putting your legs in this much, you might as well just cannonball in and just get the full effect. And man, it was definitely interesting. And then this is where we segue in and pull back the compression sleeve trick, because the first time we put the full suit on, ooh, that was definitely, I mean, we were struggling. It was difficult to get it on. Getting it off was twice as awkward and difficult, because this is a perfect fit. This is pretty much what a wetsuit fit would feel like, where I'm closer to a 52 if I wanted kind of room to move in. I said, no, let's go ahead and get a little bit more of a race fit, so we went to a 50 because we fit it with most of our measurements. The only thing that is different is that we were just a little bit too tall for this suit right out the gate, because when I put it on, it was hard to get the shoulders in and kind of bring it all in. Now we have this trick where, I mean, we're doing this dance, just doing to get in and get the shoulders in. You'll see here in a minute. And so when I stood up, I had just major moose knuckle because it was so tight, and then the shoulders. It didn't hurt, it wasn't uncomfortable, but I could definitely feel that there was some pressure down there saying, hey, what's up? On the bike, it's nothing to worry about. It's extremely comfortable. I felt real good. The first time when I wore it, it was tight. I could feel it. And then I wore it a couple other times after that before the track day to get it a little bit more broken in, sweat in it, and get the feeling of it. That by track day, oh, it felt good. It felt where I could move. But again, when standing up, there was still a little bit of pressure, not quite as prominent of a knuckle as previously, but taking it off, that's where I really highly suggest compression sleeves. We ended up picking up a Dainese undersuit, but again, that was too small. That we've lost a lot of weight, and according to their sizing, they said I was a medium, and I tried on a medium and it was, no. I think the first time we put it on, we heard a, and I was like, ooh, that's not it. So it was already too late to return it because we had already messed up the seams. We could have tried, but said, no, let's hold on to it, and then we ended up gifting it to a buddy. It makes it so much easier. What we're rocking is we have the compression top, we have some compression bottoms. These are heated because it's also cold. We're gonna be going for a ride, and it makes getting in and out of the suit so much easier because you're able to glide in and glide out and take it off versus it sticking to your sweaty skin, and it's just a huge pain to take off without it. So be sure and wear some compression clothes whenever you go to the track, whether you're renting or you have your own, because it does make things so much easier. And then the boots, depending again, if you want to invest in some boots, these are just some city boots. I think these were on sale again. These are about $180. So overall, I believe it was about $600 that we spent on our setup. That a lot of your Alpine Stars, Dainese, Revit, even their entry-level suits are around $900. And that was just way too much for us to spend on just the suit when we would still be needing everything else. We could have rented the boots at the locations, but again, I decided let's go ahead and just invest in this now. And again, just check out the sales. You do have Black Friday coming up, so that's one place to check out. And then you also have Cyber Monday. If this isn't something that you're looking to get into, hitting the ground hard, running right away, then you don't really want to drop $1 to $2 grand on a full suit, and then you only ride once a year. Another reason why we decided to go ahead and bite the bullet was that it would force us to do more track days, because our riding has gotten fairly aggressive from where we first came 4 years ago when we first got our bike. And again, the street is one place where you don't really want to push your limits because you have multiple obstacles, and to include the drivers that are opposing lanes, and everyone's texting nowadays. We're guilty of it on occasion, that we'll do it ourselves too. But then you also have miscellaneous animals that may be running around, and also road debris that you may have not known. So always do a scouting run, but then sometimes there's something that may have happened when you were like, oh, the scouting run was cool. You go back and a tree had fallen down, or someone kicked up a rock or debris, and the next thing you know, you slide, you low side, and you're going to a tree, into a car, into something. Not a good day for you. So again, the track, you have a closed course. All you have to really worry about is the other riders, and then low siding or accidentally catching an edge and high siding. But they do have EMS and paramedics on site that will be able to either care for you there, or if your injuries are much more severe, they can take you off site to a hospital and you can take care right there. Everyone is there with the racing mentality. They know they're there to have fun, to push their bike to the limit. And it's just a great environment. You meet so many great people. A quick little segue is one of the things that you do want to do when you're going to the track is bring a pair of shorts. That way you can, when you're not on the track, you can walk around comfortably and you can put stuff in your pockets, and that way you're just not walking around in just compression, just like the old guys at the gym, just showing off. I prefer to put mine on sitting down. There's people who just put it on standing up, but then they're hopping all over the place. And then this is kind of where we have to fish for our leg to make it the easiest. Look at that. Whenever you're in between track sessions, one of the things that you could do is just wear it lower. It's half on, half off. One of the things that I'll do is I'll zip it partially up, so that way it's a little more snug, kind of like a belt. And the zipper will eventually kind of start working its way down, but that way it's a little more secure. It's a little higher up, so if I'm gonna sit down, I can just give it a little baby, oh, what's up? And then I'm sitting down. It's still comfortable. You're still good. You can put these arms around you in case you miss your significant other. Forever alone. All right, so now here's the interesting part. Again, compression, this makes it so much easier. What I'll do is after I get my arm in, I'll make sure that no fabric is folded over. It was folded over right there, kind of where my bicep is. And I'll squat, so that way I can work it over my shoulders a whole lot easier. There it is. And then zip it. And then Velcro, and then you're good to go. This one has forearm, elbow, shoulder pads. It has a little air. And normally I would put on the boots before. That way I don't have to bend over in the chair and it's a little bit more awkward. This thing on, again, this is mostly just because it is a tighter fit. That way in the event of a crash, low side, high side, and if I am flailing around, this is gonna keep my body somewhat rigid without the ability of over flexing if it's so much material, then I'm just kind of parting it up. Now removing the suit, it's gonna be the exact opposite. And so you just unzip it, and this is where compression shirt comes into play. So all I'll do is I'll kind of wiggle this portion. I'll go ahead and grab it with this side and pull down and kind of work out of it. So that way I'm out. And then loosen the other side. And then it's time for lunch, break, water, etc. And you're ready for your next track session. Now we're gonna go ahead and gear up and hit the road.
And we're out and about. Look at us. We are suited and booted and ready to groove it. I'm trying to think of what rhymes with suited and booted, and we almost got it right. So whenever you do get your leathers, whether it just be your gauntlet gloves and boots or just your gauntlet gloves, depending whatever you end up getting, be sure and go out and ride with it before track dates. That way you can be privy to any quirks or any different manipulation that you have to do in order to make it work. For instance, as we talked about with our pinky, with the clutch, that also with these gloves in regards to clutch manipulation, that it's a little interesting because if I grab on occasion, whenever I let out the clutch, it feels like it, even now that it was kind of broken in, it feels kind of stiff, where I have to consciously be aware of where my fingers are. If I have the clutch pulled in, I'm letting it out, that around here it feels like I'm already out, but it's not, because it's getting caught in the glove. So I have to consciously tell myself, point your fingers out whenever I feel that. Like, so that way it's give it some gas and then point your fingers out. That way I know that my clutch is out, and then be sure to give it gas, because we almost kill it every so often, even if we're on the track. And so that's one of the quirks that you have to kind of get used to with these gloves, at least with me. One thing I can think of is going to be your shifter with the boots. Normally when I have the Red Wings, etc., I'll shift with the side of the boot where it's got the lip on it. But with these, I have to physically dip down and shift up, which was a new movement for me, because since I've had the Lowrider, I've been wearing the Red Wing boots, and then we got the Danner boots, where they have that lip where I like my shifter just above where my boot is, so that way it's not, I don't have to physically like lift my foot up. When I first got my Lowrider, that was the first thing I noticed, and I was just like, nah, I'm good. And so I readjusted it, and that's where I like it. That's where I call home with my shifter. And then once I got the boots, I had to accommodate for the missing ledge, I guess we could call it, and actually and then having to consciously shift and know that I'm shifting. Different avenues that you can go with this. Do you have to get a full suit? That's going to be entirely dependent on you. But the one thing that I will suggest, if you are looking into getting into taking your cruiser to the track, whether it be one or various times, is invest in some gauntlet gloves, because they do offer the protection. You have knuckle protection, and then you also have the wrist protection, which will help you in the event of a spill or crash. Also going to be the DOT or Snell rated helmet, because a lot of them, either they request that you have the DOT or the Snell, or that you have both. Again, it's going to depend on the organization and the track that you're looking to do. There's so much more that's going to come from it, being that it was the first year and that it was received so well. But I digress. That's going to do it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Remember to check out all the links in the drop down section. You are going to find some links to the Patreon. Be sure to check those out for my patrons. Remember to check out that latest post regarding the up and coming publication that we're going to be doing for patrons only. It's going to be Patreon exclusive. You won't be able to find it anywhere else. It's going to be something for the patrons, by the patrons. Super excited for that. As well as remember to check out all the Amazon affiliate links. Anytime you click on one, whether you purchase that item or not, part of that will come back to the channel, and it helps us out monumentally. So I thank you for that. Remember to like the video, and if you found any value from it, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And while you're there, bump on over and hit that bell to be notified of any future videos when they drop, as soon as they drop. And until next time, appreciate y'all. Ride safe. Cheers.